I'm Marcia, and I'm going to show you how to make Druze mountain bread or Lebanese bread. Let's get started. First thing I do is I have my bread flour all measured out. It's 4 cups. I'm going to put it in the KitchenAid mixer. Doesn't have to be a KitchenAid, you can use your hands too. Okay, so that's ready to go. And the next thing I do is I'm heating up my water. I have regular water, 1.5 cups of regular water, and I get my teaspoon of yeast along with just a touch of sugar, probably 1/8 of a teaspoon of sugar. I'm mixing this up, and then I heated another 1/2 cup pretty hot, 30 seconds, and then I'm mixing up my salt so I can get that dissolved. Okay. And I need 1.5 teaspoons, or excuse me, I need 3 tablespoons of olive oil. So I'm going to add that to the rest of my water. And this is 2 teaspoons, 1 ounce, 1/8 of a cup rather, 2 teaspoons, plus 1 more, so I'm doing another 1/2 of this. Okay, then I'm checking to see if my salt is all dissolved. Not quite, so I'm going to leave it in there for a couple more minutes as I stir it up. And I'm watching my yeast. Looks like it's growing already. I'm going to put this hot water with the salt in with the other water with the olive oil. So we have 4 cups of bread flour, 1 teaspoon of yeast that I put in with 1/4 teaspoon of sugar, 1.5 teaspoons of kosher salt, I like kosher salt, that I dissolved, and then I put my 3 tablespoons of olive oil and 1.5 cups of water is in here, well, almost. I'm going to pour this in as it starts to grow a little bit, and then I'm going to start my mixer. My yeast has been sitting here for about 5 minutes, and it has grown, as you can see. I'm going to pour it in with the water and the olive oil. Okay. So make sure you get all that yeast in here. And then we're going to put it in my mixer. I'm going to start it. I'm going to lock it first. I'm going to start it on 1. I'll make sure I get it all in. And I'm going to let that continue to mix for 5 minutes. The dough is ready. Went into a really nice loaf. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put olive oil in my bowl. Just make sure that it's covered. What I'm going to do is I'm going to let it sit in the fridge overnight, and then I'm going to form it tomorrow into 120 gram loaves. Turned out nicely. Okay, I'm going to put it in my olive oil greased bowl, and I'll let it sit in the refrigerator overnight, just so the gluten can kind of work through and settle it. Okay, we'll talk to you tomorrow. Hi, I just wanted to show you a few things before we get started. Here's my bread dough. Actually, this is 2 batches. And what I'm going to need later when I bake it is, it's a 14-inch wok, but I turn it, it's a cast iron wok, and I turn it upside down, and I put it in the bottom of the oven, on the bottom shelf, rack, and then I close it. And then later on I will need water to spray on it. I get this from the filtered water that I have, and then I spray it so it stays nice and soft, and I'll show you that later. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to be cutting my bread dough and getting 120 grams, which is approximately a little over 4 ounces. Let me see. That's only 102, so I'm going to see if I can add 18 more. Oops, that's too much, like 128. Okay, that's approximately it, so let's take it off. Okay, so 4 1/4. It's approximately a 4 1/4. Let's make it 120. Okay. Not quite, oh my goodness. It doesn't have to be perfect, but close. So it's 4 1/4 ounces. Okay, so I'm going to be making, I think there's 24 altogether because it's 2 batches. 24 bread doughs, and we'll come back later after I get them all formed, and I'm going to let them sit for like half an hour to an hour. Thank you. Okay, so I've got all of them made into 120 grams, and I'm going to put them on a little bit of flour so they don't stick to the parchment paper, and roll them or make them into round balls. If I need a little bit of flour, that's okay. So instead of getting 24, I miscalculated. I'm only going to be getting 8 per batch, so there's only 16 here. And I'm going to let them rest for about an hour. And then I'm going to start making them, pulling them out. Well, I'll show you how that happens, but I also want to show you something else that we need. We need a bread cloth, and I have a couple of them here. I have a friend who made me this one. This is 18 inches, and it's got a little bit of batting inside, so it's a little bit thicker. And we put this out like that, and put a little flour in there when I get ready. And here's another one. And if anybody's interested in them, my son-in-law's mother possibly will make them, so just let me know, and we can get one to you. I'm not exactly sure how much it would be, probably $15 plus shipping. Anyway, we'll continue this later when it rests for like an hour. See you soon. Okay, I'm stretching this out. It's getting a couple holes in it, which I'm not real happy about, but it needs to be a little bit warm to stretch, and I think as I continue to make them, they'll just get bigger and better. So I try and stretch it to the whole size here without breaking it too much. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to spray the oven wok with some cooking spray. You don't want it to stick. And then I also have a timer for 30 seconds. And I have a churning stick. You can use a spatula for that too. Okay, let's see. So what I'm going to do is I'm bringing the bread over. And I'm going to put it on top of the wok. And I'm going to time this for 30 seconds. I also have my water ready because when I churn it, I'm going to have to spray it. Okay, I like to spray it a little more. And you only really have to spray the wok once with the cooking spray, and it should be fine. Okay, so I fold it in half, and then I put it under, I put it in a tea towel and fold it in fourths, and I cover it up so it stays nice and warm and stays soft. So I'm going to continue making them, and then we'll talk to you in a little bit. Okay, as it gets warmer, it stretches more. And when I made it this summer, it was really doing well. So let's put another one on. Start the timer, 45 seconds. I was mentioning that I tried this the first time when I was like a 5-year-old girl, and my relatives would bring it up from Iowa. And oh my goodness, it was like the best thing I ever ate in my whole life. And I've made pita bread over the years, but it's never ever been really thin and the way I really like it until I finally found a recipe about 2 years ago, and it's called Druze mountain bread. And I went online to see how somebody actually made it, and instead of having to put it on a stick and putting it on, you put it on a piece of cloth, and then it doesn't stretch and doesn't break. So it was like, oh my goodness, I finally have this wonderful, wonderful bread that I ate when I was a little girl. And I just wanted to teach people how to make it. Oops, one more time. Okay, and then I'll turn it over and put on another 45 seconds. Oops, I got to spray. Just want to make sure it's going to come off easily and it won't break. There you go. We're actually going to take it off this time. Whoops, it's kind of tough. Left it on a little bit long. What I'm going to do now is fold it and put it in this cloth. Then I'm going to actually have a little piece and show you how we usually eat it. We usually just break it in half, or fourths, or whatever you want to do, and then butter it. Butter, nothing's better. Everything's better with butter on it, right? Okay. So butter the whole side, and then I'm going to roll it up. So this is how it looks. And let's try it. Like the best thing ever. I hope you get to that point, guys, because it's a real fun bread to make when it starts working for you. Might take a few tries, but hopefully you'll do a great job. Have fun.